Okay, hi everyone. In this short lecture, I want to explore how some of the questions that we're going to be discussing in this course relating to the development of AI have really been at the core of film and literature and mythology for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I will start with a story. The other day I was flying back to visit my family in Australia, and I turned on the little screen and put my headphones on, and I was surprised to find this category here, AI Doom. It's not a film genre that I was used to seeing. So when I clicked through, these were the sort of movies I encountered, which usually we would think of these as science fiction films. The first film, The Matrix from 1999, presents a situation where humanity has created artificial intelligence and robotics and then has gone to war with these robots. The war occurs both in a computer simulation where the humans are trapped, as well as outside that simulation in sort of the ruins of the physical world. In Ex Machina from 2014, an inventor creates a humanoid AI robot, and this AI robot starts to psychologically seduce or manipulate her captors in order to gain her own freedom. And in the Blade Runner film franchise, going back to the original film by Ridley Scott and the short story on which it's based by Philip K. Dick, it presents a situation where there are humanoid AI robots and humans living together, and the humans find it difficult to tell who is a human and who is a robot, and it explores the sort of disruption that this creates in a sort of hybrid human-robotic society. But some of these topics actually go back a very long way in various cultural traditions. The film Prometheus by Ridley Scott in the Aliens film franchise takes its name from the Greek myth of Prometheus, which, to put it very simply, Prometheus is a titan, and Prometheus steals fire as the original technology from the gods and gives it to the humans. As a punishment for this, the god Zeus chains Prometheus to a tree and punishes him to have an eagle come every day and eat his liver. And as his liver regrows every day, the punishment is perpetual. One of the most interesting transitions from the Promethean myth to modern science fiction is this book here, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, written in the early 19th century. And what Shelley is exploring is really what's implied in the mythology, which is how responsible are humans for their actions. Unlike other animals, humans, to our knowledge, humans are obsessed with the questioning of the morality of our actions. Are our actions good or evil? Are they natural or unnatural? And when our actions are to create technologies, are these technologies natural or unnatural? It would be strange to imagine, to me, a similar conversation happening with other animal species we're quite close to. Does a dog consider its actions to be natural or unnatural? This, to me, is really at the core of the human experience. And so in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, it explores the story of Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who wants to create artificial life. He does so by going to a graveyard and by digging up different pieces of different bodies, and then he takes them back to his laboratory, puts them back together, and uses electricity to breathe life into this monster. What happens? As soon as the monster wakes up, Dr. Frankenstein is terrified. He's terrified of the monster, he's terrified of what he's done, and he runs away and he leaves the laboratory. And this is really critical because then the monster grows up not knowing who it is, not knowing what it is, being scared, and being also looking quite monstrous, so being rejected by other members of human society. And this sets up a cycle whereby the monster eventually wants to take revenge on Dr. Frankenstein and ends up, attacking Dr. Frankenstein's family. And so what Mary Shelley puts together here is she links the idea of technology really with the idea of creation. We could think of it as a story as much about parenting or about a biblical creation story as it is about technology. If we go into other cultural traditions, this is a book I don't know a great deal about sort of creation mythology in the Chinese tradition. However, this book I believe it's due to come out within the next year or so. And this is a series of authors, both from within China or writing about China, who are writing about artificial intelligence from the Chinese perspective, rather than simply being framed using these sort of mythological roots that often we find in the discussion of AI in the West. The image I've got here is just a little teaser. It goes back to the story of King Mu of Zhou, and it describes, I think it's a 4th century text that describes the presentation to the emperor of an automata, or of a sort of an artificial human. And that's described in a translation by Joseph Needham from the mid-20th century. The last reference I want to leave you with is the 3 laws of robotics that come from the science fiction author Isaac Asimov. You might have heard of the Foundation television series that's airing on a bunch of online platforms at the moment. That's written by Isaac Asimov. Asimov's book I, Robot, which was also turned into a film, presents 3 laws of robotics. And interestingly, these are still used today when we discuss AI alignment. So I'll just read them out. The first law is that a robot may not injure a human being through inaction, or through inaction allow a human being to be injured or to come to harm. The second law is that a robot must obey orders given to it by human beings, except where the orders conflict with the first law, as in except where these orders would harm a human. And the third law is that a robot must protect its own existence as long as this protection does not conflict with the first and second law. And this presents an interesting paradox for AI and alignment, and that's something we're going to discuss later in the course. But I'll finish this introduction now, and I look forward to exploring some more of these ideas with you soon. Okay, bye-bye.